it was grabbed from me and thrown to the floor. I was pushed around a little bit. Thankfully, I was able to get the flag back. And at around that point, I noticed a few people wearing high-vis jackets that said police liaison coming up towards me. And they didn't say anything, but it was at that point that I thought that for my own personal safety, it would probably be the best decision to leave the protest.
Now, the protesters at Oxford and Cambridge are asking their universities to disclose financial ties to Israel and terminate any endowments and investments in companies linked to Israel. Yesterday, while counter-protesting outside King's College, Cambridge, the Jewish student Ari Vladimir was bumped into and had his Israel flag stripped off him. We can speak to Ari now. Good morning to you, Ari.
Good morning.
We're also going to speak to Ben, who's one of the pro-Palestinian protesters, hoping for a constructive discussion here. Ari, from your point of view, just explain what happened to you.
Of course. So I went down to the protest around 3:30, and when I got there, I unfurled my Israeli flag, and almost as soon as I had taken it out, it was grabbed from me and thrown to the floor. I was pushed around a little bit. Thankfully, I was able to get the flag back, and at around that point, I noticed a few people wearing high-vis jackets that said police liaison coming up towards me, and they didn't say anything, but it was at that point that I thought that for my own personal safety, it would probably be the best decision to leave the protest.
And you didn't think that before, because this was obviously a pro-Palestinian protest. And, you know, you going there and waving a flag might have, to the people protesting, be seen as provocative or perhaps ill-advised at that moment.
I went down there in order to have a conversation, and I wanted to show myself as who I am, as an openly pro-Israel student. And I was hoping to speak with some openly pro-Palestinian students who I would be able to have a productive conversation with and hear their perspectives and hopefully have them hear mine.
Ben, you're one of the pro-Palestinian protesters. Would it have been nice to have been able for Ari to have been able to have a conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to discuss these points with people. I think maybe it would have been more productive to come at a time when there wasn't a big rally. There was a lot of energy. Passions were kind of running high a bit. Obviously, it sucks this happened, and you have every right to exercise your democratic rights if we are as well, you know. I didn't see this incident, so I can't comment on it in any sort of particulars, but yeah, I'm sorry this happened.
I mean, there is video of it. We can probably have a look after this conversation. Ari, it sounds like, you know, that the conversation could have happened. What kind of conversation did you want to have? Because the protesters at Oxford and Cambridge are asking the universities to tell them what financial ties they have to Israel and perhaps terminate some of them. What's your view on that?
I was hoping to have a conversation about the situation in general, of course, and to try to gain a deeper understanding of why they feel the way they do about this conflict, to understand why we differ at a deeper level. And again, as I said, hopefully that they would be able to listen to me and understand where I come from and my own views on this issue.
So what's your view, though, on the financial side of things, the financial ties to Israel? Do you think universities should disclose those financial ties or not?
I'm not an expert in this particular issue, nor do I pretend to be. And um, although that was the objective aim of the protest, they were also chanting more broad slogans, as are typical to pro-Palestinian protests that have been occurring around the world. And those were the issues that I was seeking more to discuss.
Okay, and what chanting did you hear?
I heard chanting of "From the river to the sea," and "Israel is a terrorist state." The last statement is one that I particularly disagree with. And I was hoping to ask them, why do they think that? And I was
Okay.
hoping to offer my opinions on why I believe that to be incorrect.
Well, you can do that now, can't you, with Ben? Ben, what would you like to? How would you like to answer that?
Yeah, well, firstly, I'd like to say my views are representative of the whole encampment. I am a member of a distinct political organization, the Revolutionary Communist Party, and I can only really speak in that from that perspective. But from our perspective, the Israeli state is a ethno-nationalist state. It's an apartheid state, and it's an occupation on Palestinian land. And we believe that nothing short of the complete liberation of the Palestinian people, uh, and therefore the kind of liberation of the whole of Palestine from the occupation and an end to the apartheid state is, yeah, the only real solution to these problems.
But and Ben, in terms of from the river to the sea, you appreciate that many Jewish people, if not most, but definitely many people, find that they find that incredibly threatening.
I appreciate that people do find it concerning, and obviously that's not our intention. I'd like to say that that's obviously not all Jewish students. We've got Jewish students on the encampment. We have guidelines in place to protect all students, regardless of religion and ethnicity, on the encampment. There's prayer communities and the likes as well. And we're trying to cultivate a safe space where like people don't have to feel uncomfortable because of any of these reasons.
Uh,
When we say from the
mm.
river to the sea, Palestine must be free, we're stating that we want an end to the apartheid regime. We want a state where both Palestinian and Israeli and Jewish sort of citizens can both feel represented and safe within the borders of that sort of country.
Okay, Ari, what do you make of what Ben has said?
Well, I firmly disagree with almost everything that he's just said. In particular, I would like to highlight his calling of Israel as an apartheid state. Now, I strongly disagree with that characterization. In particular, you can look at the fact that in Israel, all citizens have the right to vote, no matter what religion or ethnicity or background they are. In addition, within the last few days, an Arab woman was just elected to serve in the local government of Haifa. As well, you have Arab judges who sit on the Supreme Court of Israel. You have Arab parties and Arab politicians in the Knesset, Israel's parliament. You have Arabs from all backgrounds, including Muslims, Christians, Bedouins, and Druze, who serve in the IDF. And when you compare that to South Africa under actual apartheid, none of those things were true.
Okay,
And
Ben, we're running
may I
out of time a
respond
bit.
further?
Yeah, no, I understand,
Yeah.
Ari. I just want to get a response from Ben to that.
Yeah, well, I'd say that whilst there's always sort of these symbolic gestures by the sort of ruling classes of any of these states, these kind of gestures don't speak to the concrete reality for the majority of the Palestinian people. It's an objective fact that the Palestinian people live in much poorer conditions, have much less access to water, live in generally segregated communities, experience constant police raids and repression from the Israeli state authorities. It's a nonsense to talk about any sort of
Okay.
equality between.
Okay. I mean, these are kind of well rehearsed arguments on both sides. I mean, I wonder whether would the two of you get together off air perhaps and have this discussion?
I
Of
mean,
course.
yeah, I'd be willing to.
Good. And Ari, you?
Yes, without question.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Thank you both very much for talking to us. That's Ari Vladimir, and we also heard from Ben, who's one of the pro-Palestinian protesters.